This is like you. That's why he's the man.
What's up, Placido?
My favorite.
What's up, Placido?
You are on air live Elevation Talk Show.
This show got hood real quick.
What's up, Placido?
What's the website?
Elevation
Talk Show.
That's what I'm talking about. Doom, 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 doom.
All over the world to have real talk around real issues. Knowledge is powerful and connections are needed to build your vision.
We will celebrate our young people with Millennial Takeover and the Young and Bold segment.
Bringing you the latest in world news, fashion, sports, food, and travel while living in your purpose and standing on the word of God. Well, it's time for Elevation. How are you guys?
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm telling you, I got so many men in the studio today. My girl Placid, I want you guys to keep her in prayer. Somebody hit her in the back yesterday, but she's definitely here in spirit. Welcome to the Elevation Talk Show, and this show is going to be power packed. So go get your neighbors. You know, you may even want to go get your kids. You know, everybody, because it's about to be power packed. The title is The War, The Willing, Able, and Radical. We have two guest co-hosts with us today, and they're actually my brothers. If y'all on Facebook, I want y'all to take a look at, y'all know not to mess with me. So I want y'all to take a look at my brothers, Mike and John.
What up, what up?
And they don't play when it comes to me.
That's right.
Okay, so I want you to follow us on Facebook, The Elevation Talk Show, Twitter, Elevation_show, Instagram, The Elevation Talk Show, and always use that hashtag, The Elevation Show. So again, we want to welcome you to the Elevation Talk Show, and what we want you to know is what's happening is actually you can catch us on Dominion TV now.
Yeah.
Elevation Rewind. So what we try to do is we try to talk about a subject or topic on the radio, and we try to rewind it because we get questions after we have these radio segments. So we said we're going to talk about it more on Elevation Rewind. So catch us every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. on Dominion TV. I'm gonna try to get my brothers down to the Carolinas to do a taping with me.
Oh, nice.
You ain't down the road though. So maybe we could get them down there and we could do a rewind from this, which is going to be a powerful show. If you want to call in today, you can call in at 443-380-2803. Again, hit us up on Facebook, The Elevation Talk Show, Twitter, Elevation Show, Instagram, The Elevation Talk Show. Do us a favor. Don't just do the, stroll through. What they call it, snoopers. Don't just be snooping.
Lurking.
You know, the strollers, what they call it?
Trolls.
The trolls. We want you to follow us. Yes, we want you to follow us. And we want your feedback. We want to hear what it is because you guys, our audience, are our producers. So you tell us what you want to hear. And so we want to do that. So after you hear a song from Israel Hothckins, The Power of One Changed the World, we're going to go into our special studio audience guest that we have today. We're going to introduce him as well.
Awesome.
Oh, I hit that on time. Look at that. Hey.
Oh, you hit the time.
So you can introduce. No, John, you can introduce.
Strolls.
Do you want? Should I call you D? That's what you like.
Okay.
So John,
I'm trying to set a watch party.
yeah, do go to the Elevation Talk Show and do watch party.
You said the strolls. What
She said the strollers.
All the strollers up there. You gotta love it. If you don't love Cassandra, you love people. Ain't nobody like Cassandra in the world.
It's really called lurkers. People that be on the page.
Trolls is when you comment mean things.
I got you. So lurkers.
Lurk,
She said
yeah.
strollers.
Like a baby stroller.
I ain't mad at it though. It's Cassandra Ferguson. Strollers.
I was trying to work with the last person, but I don't think she really saw the vision, man. The kids was like, I I gave him a lot of books and I pulled up all the people that asked me to pull up. And I'm like, this is more the good stuff. You know what I mean? Look out for the strugglers. Look out for the strugglers.
Okay, wait a minute. No, you're not gonna try to sing a song based
He's
on that
doing it
beat.
too. He's
On that
doing it
beat,
too.
did you hear him? The strollers. You was, I'm done with you. I'm so done with the strollers. But that's what they are. They just
Yeah, they just stroll and stroll like babies.
Yeah, scrollers. It's strollers.
the strollers. Why y'all laughing at me?
Scrollers.
It's strollers?
Yeah.
Well, the strollers, whatever. You understand. We want you to like our pages,
Right.
guys.
And not just go looking at
That's
it.
right. Don't be peeping. Because we can tell, and you know what I like about Instagram and the
Password in here.
Okay, so, and you know how you go on Instagram and you know like the story, so we can tell you peeking.
Oh yeah, if you looking at the story. Yeah.
Especially if you put up those polls,
Yeah.
and then like it's like 100 people watched, but only like 20 people voted.
Yeah, so we can tell you peeking. So we see you peeking. So we just want you to like it because we want to hear from you. You know, we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what we're doing right. We want to hear what we're doing wrong. And the reason that our guest is here today is because someone suggested him and requested him and gave me the information. So we do that. We listen to you guys. But we just want you to know this. We do the homework. Check them out, okay?
I like Facebook. There's always people on
That's not, you know.
Got 2 minutes. That's Sharon. 2 minutes. You gotta hit it.
2 minutes to read this bio.
No, we got 2 minutes. You gotta hit it. You ready?
Strap.
You got about 2 minutes to go in the
I'm
song.
gonna say
You want-
welcome back, and I'm gonna say you want me to call you on the radio. What would you like for me to call you, Pastor John? What would you like for me to call you,
Let's be informal today.
John?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We ain't gotta do them titles.
Okay. You know I ain't for them either, but you know I give them to people that want them. I just give it to them.
Oh, okay. What's the password to the
Number 1, FORTHEMONEY. 1 for the money. But it's number 1 for the money.
all lowercase, right?
Yes.
I remember.
Right
that
here on
now.
Praise 106.1. Yeah. Go ahead, get something.
Go Tony.
Yeah.
Go Tony.
Gotta get excited at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Tony. Go Tony.
I've been there since 7 this morning. I'm excited. We at the Bishop. I went to the Bishop's church last week.
You were there? You were there
I
Sunday?
was at the MPX.
Ah.
You know the express. You know, you
That's
drive
right,
up,
that's right.
get a little service, get you a drink, and then roll out.
Yeah, I don't quite make it to that service.
Yeah, the
I
MPX.
don't quite make it to that one.
Last week
Ready?
it was live from here. I mean from on the air, right?
Yeah, that was there.
Sandra,
I had a suit on, so you could see that was on
what?
time.
When we come back, just go right into the bio. She gonna introduce you. Got it. The world.
Ready?
We can change the world together.
Amen.
The power of one.
Yes, we can.
Welcome back to the Elevation Talk Show. And you're about to hear from a young man that is doing absolutely that. Who do we have, John?
We have Brother D. Watkins. He is an editor-at-large for Salon. His work has been published by the New York Times, The Guardian, the Rolling Stones, and other publications. He holds a master's in education from Johns Hopkins University and an MFA in creative writing from the University of Baltimore. He is a college professor at the University of Baltimore and founder of the Be More Writers Project. He also is the recipient of numerous awards, including the Be Me Grant Write Genius Grant for Ford's Men's of Courage. Watkins also is a finalist for the Hurston Writers Write Legacy Award and Books for a Better Life. He has lectured at countless universities and events around the world. Watkins has been featured as a guest and commentator on NBC's Meet the Press, CNN's Aaron
NBC.
Burnett Show, and Democracy Now!, among other shows. Watkins is from and lives in East Baltimore. He is the author of We Speak for Ourselves, A Word from Forgotten Black America, and the New York Times bestseller, The B-Side, Living and Dying While Black in America, and The Cook-Up, a crack rock memoir. We have Brother D. Watkins in the house.
Welcome, Brother D. Watkins.
Thank you guys for having me.
We're excited because, you know, I want to hear more about your book, We Speak for Ourselves. Tell us what motivated you to write the book.
The power of direct service and connecting with people. You know, a lot of times when you're able to experience some success as a writer, when you're able to get into some spaces that do a lot of commentary on the problems that affect Black people in America, you hear a lot of talk, and I'm definitely not against people who like to talk about those things, because we do have to talk. We do have to talk about these issues, but I'm more into action. So We Speak for Ourselves is a love letter to people who actually go into communities and do work, for people who go into schools and do work, for people in politics who actually have a direct connection with the people. You know, if Jesus came back today, I don't think Jesus would be hanging out with like the billionaires and the elite at the big functions and events. I think Jesus would be with the people. So if we want to model ourselves after that, then we need to be with the people and connect with the people and love the people. And we can't love them if they're not accessible. If we're not accessible, if they can't call us up or text us or DM us on Instagram so we can pull up, then you know that we're not really loving them.
So I hear that you let your work speak for you. You know, a lot
I
of
try
times,
my best to.
but that's what I hear. You saying a lot of people have the mouth or the talk, but they don't have the action behind the talk. And I know one thing is, and I agree with you, because if you say that, let's just say I have a passion for young girls, right? I should be doing something with the young girls, and vice versa. You should be in the community. You should be able to be touched. You should, you know, someone should be able to walk up on you and say, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about your book? I want to be an author, a young man coming up that has inspiration and dreams. And if you are positioning yourself where you are the untouchable, let's say that, then no one can get those answers, or they may not even can get that inspiration.
And that same young man, he's going to have access to a drug dealer, or he's going to have access to a killer.
Right.
So we need to make sure that he or she has access to writers and speakers and, you know, college professors and people who work in the art world and, you know, everybody else who's out here trying to do positive things. We need to, you know, the exposure, we got to balance it out, because there's negativity everywhere, so we need more positive examples around, and I try my best to do that wholeheartedly. You know, you might be the only Bible that a person ever reads, so you have to pull up for them.
Right.
That's right.
So what I hear is, and I'm gonna let my brothers chime in too. What I hear is this: we have right now, they consider all-out, you know, epidemic, or what they want to call it, the killing. So what I hear, because you said that even if they don't have access to you, they're going to have access to someone else. Basically, someone else is going to be in their ear, and in their ear they may not be putting the positive information you are saying. So what I hear is a solution. That's what I hear. I hear that more mentoring needs to take place, more visibility, more getting out in the community, more, if, you know, I have nieces, younger nieces. I call them. If I see something, say something to them. And that means if I feel something also, if I feel like something's going on with them, there's a change of character. That means that I think, like you said, we need to be the ones that speak, and we need to be the ones that's doing. What do you guys say about that? You say yeah?
Oh yeah, big time, yeah.
Absolutely. First, Mike, yeah, go ahead.
No, definitely. I feel like right now, the city of Baltimore is under siege.
Right.
And I think yesterday I was listening to talk radio, and one of the things that the new commissioner was saying was that they're finding that the perpetrators are feeling as if there's nothing, the penalty for what they're doing is not really making an impact on them. Right? And everybody's trying to come up with what is the answer, what is the answer. Is that part of your motivation when you were putting this book out and trying to help understand how do we start unpacking this? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think that people definitely understand the penalties and what can actually happen. As the jails are full of people who look like us.
Right.
Funeral homes are stocked with people who look like us. The graveyards
And they're making great business income right now.
They're overflowing. So
Yeah.
I would have to push back on the commissioner on that point. But what I will say is, we've become part of a culture that has nothing to look forward to.
Wow.
It's like that's what you'd have to look forward to, because you're not having traditions of love and opportunity passed down. You're having traditions of gun culture and violence passed down. There's some people in our neighborhoods who try really hard, and I would never discredit them. There's a lot of people from different organizations and different churches and across the board. There's a lot of love that exists within these communities, but there's also a huge element of people who feel like my parents didn't really have anything going on and their parents didn't have anything going on, and you studies show you typically go as far in school as your parents. So a lot of people, they're not coming from their culture of education, they're not coming from that culture of opportunity, and they're succumbing to the things that surrounds them. And we have to change their culture. We have to fight that.
Right.
The idea that if your name's Tavon, you might not get a call back for a job as quick as a person named Billy. You know what I'm saying? These are studies. These are things that are true.
Right.
I've been to hundreds of schools in the past 3 years, and a whole bunch of countless jails. I've been to all of these different places, and I see why things happen the way they are, even if we only touch on something like education. I spoke at the park school where there was like bottled waters and ponies and Wi-Fi, you know what I'm saying? And then I've been to schools in Baltimore City where the urinals were ripped out the wall,
right.
So the kids are peeing into a hole. So it's like, if this is your idea of what education is, or if this is your idea of the skills and the things that we need to push forward, then you might not be able. The playing field is just not level. We got to fight to level it.
Right.
Chapter 10 of the book, man. I'm sick of woke. That chapter was powerful, and it kind of is really what you've been talking about recently. Kind of resonates with that whole idea and the concept. For those who are listening, and guys, I want you to get the book. The book is so powerful. We speak for ourselves, yeah. But chapter 10 talks about how all these people have all these ideas about what's going on, and have all these concepts about what's going on. They can tell you everything that's going on in the community.
Oh yeah, they can tell you
all the ills of everything that's going on in the community. But it all boiled down to like, what are you really doing?
Right.
And so I think I hear what you're saying, brother. It's like, man, it's about really getting active. It's about you getting involved, you getting engaged, and it takes all of us. And it was one point that you made, man, what you were saying in that chapter, that it was another chapter, that it takes all of us. It can't just be one voice. It's going to take all of us to do it. It's going to take everybody to be engaged, everybody to be involved in order to make this thing turn around.
Yeah, people just memorize stats. Like,
Right.
1 in 3 black men will have a felony. We know this. Like we know this stuff. Like, we know all of the stats. Everybody's walking around talking about microaggressions and all of these things, and that's all fine and good. It's cool that you know the language. I respect that. But at the same time, all of this knowledge for self and saving it so you can debate at a panel isn't always going to be what we need. And it's going to take a whole community to change the problems that we have. Like, we need the coaches to work with the pastors, to work with the teachers, to work with the politicians, the police officers, the artists. Like, everybody has to contribute. Every once in a while, we get a person who comes through and they stand in front of a podium and they yell out all of these ideas, and then they leave and they don't come back because their speech didn't change the world. But one speech is not gonna cut it. Not nowadays. We need people to be accessible on a daily basis. Like, when I visit schools, I don't visit schools one time.
Right.
Like, some high schools I've been to like 10 times in a year, because the students need to know that, okay, there's an author, a New York Times best-selling author, living and breathing and walking around and existing in the neighborhood where you come from. I'm in East Baltimore. I might be in Montgomery. I might be on Miami Street. I'm in the same place you are. So now it makes it real for you. Even if we never have a conversation, that has become part of your reality, and that wasn't a part of mine.
And to see consistency, because you saying you're coming multiple times, and they say, oh, this person really cares about me. And I think that's been a problem too. We'll start things, we don't show the consistency of it, and we're not loyal to it. So now these children, why do I have to be loyal? Or why do I have to be consistent?
And I don't think, you know, anybody who has that type of commitment, like, I don't think I deserve like a medal or any type of special praise. It's regular. Like, it should be regular.
Natural,
If I was a doctor and, you know, I did my rounds in the hospital or whatever, like, I should be going somewhere to talk to kids about being a doctor, and it should be regular. If I was a lawyer, I should be out and about so you can see that, oh, knowing a lawyer is normal. Oh, Miss Karan is a lawyer. That's normal. Like, that's a normal thing. It's regular. It's not anything, you know, it shouldn't be so spectacular.
Right,
like,
or hard.
You know,
it's like you're being forced. It's a difference when something's a part of you and you're being forced into it. But that's a part of you. Like you say, it should be easy, especially if you're saying this is your assignment, this is your calling, this is what you're supposed to be doing, then that should be just a part of your life. Like Pastor Sharon, if I can use him, I'm calling him Pastor John Sharon. He, he taught my children. He was their youth pastor. But everything that involved their life, he was involved with it. So it was easy because that's what he is. That's what he does. Football coach, teach young people football. Now he still goes to the schools and touch the young people. So it's not like it's something that's hard or somebody got to make you do it. It's just a part of you.
You have an Amen Corner on our Facebook watch party, and overwhelmingly people are saying it takes a village.
It takes a village,
right? What does that look like now, though? I mean, I remember growing up.
Yeah.
I used to hang out at my grandparents' house, 1235 North Elwood Avenue, East Baltimore. If I was up the street acting up, Miss Caddy made sure I was taken care of. Right?
Caddy.
She knew I was making.
Was that the real name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we even got to my mom and papa's house, I already was taken care of.
Right.
What does that village look like now? Like, what do you think we need to do about that?
I think it looks the same. I think that the same energy and like the same way you were raised needs to just be duplicated. I think that, a lot of times when people experience success in Baltimore City, the first thing they want to do is get away from it. And,
Right.
all the successful people are on this massive migration to Towson.
Or Atlanta.
Or Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Then that village is losing some of its strongest warriors. And I also feel like even if you don't live in some of these places, it doesn't mean you can't have some type of connection to them. So like mentorship is part of that village. You don't have to live, I mentored so many kids from Latrobe Housing Projects. I don't live in Latrobe, but like my presence is felt, and I think that's how it works. Because again, we all know the problems. We all talk about the problems, and we all have an opinion. And when I listen to other people's opinions when those opinions are based on real interactions, not when the opinions are based on, whatever type of commentary. Because it's just like it's the drone perspective, and then the perspective of actually being in the middle is just different.
Just talking points. We can talking points. Just talking points.
Just talking points.
That's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time. But I mean, if we're gonna use that energy, let's use it to make a change. I'm definitely with you on that, brother. Absolutely.
So do you see, because you're talking about the people putting more action to their words in your travel in Baltimore? I'm talking about Baltimore because I know you also live in Brooklyn.
No,
you don't live in Brooklyn.
I've worked for Salon.com has a New York office. I shoot videos there, but I get on a train and come back home. I don't live in Brooklyn.
Okay.
I get on a train, I come back home.
Okay, well thank you for clearing that because I thought you lived in Brooklyn. Okay, so can you say in your travels in Baltimore, a lot of the leadership that you come across, can you say you got a 50%? That's putting action. You got a 10%. What's those people? Really, I want to know. What do you say? What's the percent?
I don't really know. Like, I have to be 100% honest. I don't follow them close enough to know exactly what they do. Like, everybody has good intentions, but we're all living in outcomes. So I'm really, really big on solutions.
Right.
I'm not really into like. I love, we can talk about ideas, we can share ideas, we can get color paint and watercolors and we can paint our ideas out and it's fun, but I'm into like what's the finished product.
What's
so
the
I
finished
know
product?
since I've started writing books, there's been a new culture of storytelling and reading from a contemporary standpoint from a local author present in Baltimore City Public Schools. I know that there's no author that has made more visits to schools as I have made. You know, and I'm not saying this off the top of my head. I'm saying this is because what teachers tell me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I know since I started putting books out, and since I've been working hard to donate thousands of copies of books to schools where kids can actually keep them, because I've learned in my travels that the more words you know, the further you go in life, and you will have a better life if you have books in your house. If you grow up without them, even if no one reads them. Like I know these things. These things are studies. These things are hard facts and evidence. So I take that. And I think about that accessibility when I write these. This is my third book. So, and then I have like, I don't even know how many articles I've written, but they use them in schools too. And it's hundreds of articles. So I know that the students read stories about our city, or they read stories from a person who has a similar lens to them, and then it makes them comfortable in telling their own stories. And I know that when they do that, they learn and they grow and they think critically. And I know that this new culture is being built. So it's like I'm not against any leadership in a city. I just don't really know what they're talking about sometimes.
2 questions with this. First of all, where can we get your book? We Speak for Ourselves. It's first of all, how old is the book? When did you put it out?
This book just came out April 23rd, and it's everywhere books are sold, from Barnes and Nobles on your local whatever to your independent bookstore to Amazon to I love some of the locker room. It's a cover at the locker room.
And everybody, it's a great read. I actually was able to upload it, and it's a good read, very good read. Thank you for sharing that. What's next for you? Like, what's the next thing for you? What is it that you're doing next?
I'm trying to break into television, so I have a show that's in development that I'm working on. We're going out to LA pretty soon to try to pitch it, and it's but similar messaging, the same thing. And sometimes you're not going to catch people with the article or the book, but you might catch them with the show, and it's doing the same work. And the goal for me is to bring television to Baltimore, like a real show about the other side of Baltimore that a lot of people in the world didn't really get to see, the family and the love, and the community.
Not just the wire.
They wear us out with the wire.
We can go beyond that, and we can have like camera. We can have a crew. A steady camera crew, a whole production team who lives and works and is from here. Then I'll be.
That would be
I'll be
amazing.
extremely happy.
That would be awesome.
That would be amazing.
I love your tattoo. Don't throw everything away over ego.
Ooh.